Hello my dear friends and welcome to my channel. My name is Barbara and today we're going to be looking at your progressed Venus and how you guys change in your love and your relationships. So very excited to get into this video. Venus approximately progresses in your natal chart every 25 years. So every 25 years you're going to have a new relationship style and you're going to probably learn the lessons of the previous one and how you can apply it in your new relationships. One more thing that I do want to mention is that when you do go through your secondary progressions, it doesn't mean you're losing the previous sign. I know sometimes people are super attached to their previous signs. It just means you're adding an energy on top of that. So you're taking whatever lessons that previous sign taught you and now you're learning these new lessons that this new sign is coming through to teach you. Let's start with progressed Taurus. So coming out of Aries into Taurus. So for those of you who have your progressed Venus in the sign of Taurus, previously you guys had Venus in Aries. Now it's interesting because when Venus is in Aries, it doesn't like to be here because Venus is ruled by Libra and Aries is its opposition. So when you guys had Venus in Aries, you guys could have been very focused on your goals, on yourselves. Maybe in your relationships, you guys came off super selfish. Maybe you guys had a hard time, finding someone to connect with in that way. Maybe you guys just dropped people because again, they weren't in alignment with your goals. That's that Aries energy, especially when you have it in the Venus sign, because Venus can deal with your indulgences in life, your pleasures in life, sometimes even how you make money. So for people who have Venus in Aries, you guys are super, super focused on money, career, those indulgences in life. And it's kind of like if the person doesn't align with you, you guys are willing to drop those people. So now you guys are coming out of Venus in Aries and you're going into Venus in Taurus. This is actually a very interesting progression because it's like you guys come out of that selfish energy. When I say selfish, I feel like as a society, we see selfish as a negative thing. It's just like find that people who have Venus in Aries, for whatever reason, the earlier part of their life, they're meant to focus more so on themselves. It could be all about self-love and really figuring out who you truly are as a person. Because a lot of the time, what I personally find at least is in a past life, you guys weren't able to do that. So you incarnate that Venus in Aries where it's like, no, I'm going to focus on myself first. I'm going to put myself first. Everybody else can come later. So it's interesting when you go out of Venus in Aries and you now go into Venus in Taurus, it's like now you are building towards something. Now you're finally ready to get maybe into that committed relationship. Maybe toward the end of your Venus in Aries era, you guys kind of started to get a little bit more serious, kind of feeling that Taurus energy creeping around the corner. And maybe you guys started something with someone because that's really that Venus in Aries. The Venus in Aries is going to start a lot of relationships, but it's like sometimes that placement can be all about instant gratification. So you could have just dropped a lot of people. Maybe they weren't giving you guys what you were looking for, but it's like as you're progressing into Venus and Taurus, you guys finally find maybe that person that you guys want to build something with. Because now when you guys are in Venus and Taurus, you guys are now looking to build something with a partner. Now you guys are looking for that stability. You guys are coming out of that Aries excited energy, that inner child energy where it's like a kid in a candy store and everything's exciting and you want to date everybody and all these sorts of things. And it's like now you're coming more into a calmer energy. You're coming more into an energy where it's like you want to build now with your partner. You want someone who's going to be on the same level as you. Your priorities may have shifted from like you tried a lot of different things and now you yourself could be building towards something and you want someone to match that energy with you. In your relationships, you guys are going to value stability over everything else. Now stability is on a huge range. It could be emotional stability. It could just be someone who's dependable and there and loyal. It could be financial stability. So these are a few things that can take place when you do progress out of Venus in Aries into Venus in Taurus. If you have your progressed Venus sign in the sign of Gemini, you guys have progressed out of Venus in Taurus into Venus in Gemini. So now in terms of your relationships, you guys might be looking to date in this particular era of your life. You guys might be looking to try different things. Or if you guys did commit to someone in the Venus and Taurus phase of your life, maybe now you guys are looking to switch things up in your relationship. Maybe you guys are looking to go traveling more with your partner and do fun and exciting things, coming more so out of your shell. Maybe if you guys were in a committed relationship prior to your progression, it's like now you guys have built that stability that you guys were seeking. Maybe now you guys are at a very comfortable level in your relationship where it's like you built something that you were trying to build in terms of maybe even career, or maybe you guys built something together and now you guys are established and it's like now you guys are ready to go venture off, have fun, meet new people, make new friends. This is the Gemini energy, what it's really all about. Let's say you guys are single, you're coming out of that Venus and Taurus energy. Maybe when you were in your Venus and Taurus energy, you were very much serious, looking for someone very dependable. Maybe you guys were very possessive in your relationships. Maybe you guys were really, really craving that loyalty. And it's like now you've progressed into Venus and Gemini. Maybe now you guys are ready to date around. Maybe now your perspective on relationships has changed where it's like you no longer seek that maybe stability in another person. Maybe you've created that for yourself. And now it's like you guys want to be out there. You guys want to meet other people. You guys want to date. You want to have fun. You want to go on different adventures. You're going to be super creative during this era in your life because that's really that Venus and Gemini energy. And you guys are probably going to be looking for an intellectual connection. So it can go a lot of different ways depending on where you guys were in your life, in your relationships with the Venus and Taurus. That's kind of that progression when you go out of Venus and Taurus into Venus and Gemini. It's an exciting energy. You want stimulation. You're going to want things to be changing and different and exciting. You're going to want to be out there and meeting people and talking and networking. So these are a few things that could take place when you guys do progress out of Venus and Taurus into Venus and Gemini. Next, we have our Venus in Cancer progression. So you guys are progressing out of Venus in Gemini into Venus in Cancer. This is a really interesting progression because it's like the earlier part of your life while you guys are in Venus and Gemini. You guys could be very much all about dating around and not wanting to settle down and wanting to meet interesting and cool people, and maybe being very non-committal when it comes to your relationships. Doesn't necessarily mean you guys didn't commit. This is just an overall general video. So that could be something that does take place. So because you guys were kind of in that scattered energy, when you guys move into that Venus in Cancer energy, it's like you're moving out of that scattered energy, wanting to meet a lot of people. It's almost like you get it out of your system, dating around, dating a lot of people, having fun. Like these are the things that probably were your focus when you had Venus in Gemini. And now you've moved into Venus in Cancer, where it's like now you're maybe ready to build a home with someone. Maybe you guys have met someone toward the end of that progression of Venus and Gemini, and you guys really feel like this person feels like home. Maybe you guys are ready to commit to this person, move in with this person. You guys are moving more so into that Cancerian energy where it's all about a home, feeling safe. You guys might become more of a homebody during this phase in your life. Maybe you guys were out all the time when you had Venus and Gemini, doing all these things, having all these experiences. And it's like, again, it's almost like you got those things out of your system for now. And now you're in that Venus and Cancer energy where it's like maybe you want to hermit more. Maybe you guys just want to be with your person and just chill with them all the time. Just do things with that individual that does feel like home for you guys. So this could be something that does take place when your Venus does progress out of Gemini into Cancer. If your Venus has progressed into the sign of Leo, that means your Venus was previously in Cancer and now it's progressed into Leo. This is an interesting progression because it's like you're coming out of that homebody energy. Maybe you guys were building something with someone, building a home. And it's like now, let's say you guys are in a relationship. Maybe you and this person now want to do more fun things, more spontaneous things. That's that Leo energy. It's like there's going to be a huge focus on love and relationships. This is for you if you were previously in a relationship. So let's say when you were in that era, it's like, you know, the person was there in your home, but maybe you guys were focused on other things. It's like maybe you guys were focusing on your career, because the thing is that Cancer energy seeks stability through the home life and through partnerships, especially when you have it in your Venus sign. So maybe you guys had that and maybe you guys were focused on other things. Maybe now when you have Venus and Leo, it's like maybe those things got established for you. Maybe you guys have an established career. You've reached that level of stability that maybe you guys were seeking, and it's like now you're ready to venture off and have fun with your partner and do all sorts of new things and be spontaneous and maybe spoil them and show them off and do these types of things. So that's for you. Let's say if you are in a relationship, if you were single in the Venus and Cancer era of your life and you've now progressed into Venus and Leo, same thing. It's kind of like you guys might want to date around more now. You guys might want to meet a lot of new people, and your perception on love can change, where it's like, again, before you were seeking that stability, maybe now you don't need it anymore for whatever reason. Maybe you've received that stability that you guys were seeking, and now it's like maybe you guys are looking for a different perception on love. Maybe you guys now want someone who's going to be a status or elevate your status, or, you know, bring you guys into that next level where it's like, oh, we look good together or something of the sort. So it kind of depends as to what was happening when you guys were in the Venus and Cancer era, whether you were in a relationship or whether you were single, progressing into that Venus and Leo. But that's kind of the whole idea here. Venus and Leo is very much about showing off their partner, showering their partner with love, like putting it on this display, like on a stage. That's kind of like the Venus and Leo energy. So it's an interesting progression to see how you'll change when you go out of Venus and Cancer, who was more hermity and, you know, maybe more private and more like, let's just chill at home. You maybe didn't feel the need to put your love on a display, and it's like now you're in the Venus and Leo phase of your life, and it's like now everything's on display. So Venus can really tell us a little bit more about our creativity and our indulgences in life and our pleasures, and even sometimes how we can make money, because money can be connected to those things. So for you guys, when you go out of Venus in Cancer into Venus in Leo, you guys probably are going to become super creative. You're going to have this burst of creativity. Maybe when you were in your Venus in Cancer phase, it's like you went through a lot of emotional things, or you had a lot of feelings about things, and it's like now you're taking all of these emotions and maybe things that have taken place and creating them into art, expressing them, putting it out there into the world. So very, very interesting transition when you go through Venus in Cancer into Venus in Leo. If your Venus has progressed into the sign of Virgo, that means previously you had your Venus in Leo. So very interesting progression to have, because it's like you come out of that Leo energy where it's like showy and flashy and you you want the world to know. Maybe there's a huge focus on love and relationships for you during that time. And now you're moving into Venus in Virgo. The thing is, this can go a lot of different ways because Venus in Virgo does deal with a lot of different things. Maybe now in your relationship, let's say you guys are in a relationship currently in the Venus and Leo phase and you've progressed into Venus in Virgo, maybe things are going to change in your relationship and it's like you might not be as showy and flashy anymore. Maybe your priorities change during this time. Maybe you guys become more focused on work. Maybe your relationship becomes more day-to-day and routine. Maybe it becomes something that's no longer a huge focus. Because the thing is that Venus and Leo energy is going to have a huge focus on love and relationships because that's really what Leo deals with. When you have Venus and Leo, love is going to be a huge focus in your life. And now it's like you've progressed into Venus and Virgo. So it's like maybe if you were dating someone, it just becomes something that's part of your life. You know, this person is there, but now your focus maybe changes. The thing is, Venus and Virgo can be a tricky placement because Venus is exalted in Pisces. And then when we have it in Virgo, it's not going to like being there. The thing is, the way that I always see astrology is like we learn these traits that we have and we figure out what to do with them and how to balance them is really all we can do. So when you have Venus in Virgo now, something that might happen is you might become hypercritical of your relationship or your partner. It's almost like that Venus and Leo magic has kind of worn off. It's like, you know, that excitement and the adrenaline rush, you're like really in the relationship now. And it's like maybe there's certain things that this person does that just like starts to bother you. Maybe things that you once found endearing. And it's like that Venus and Virgo energy can become hypercritical of their partners. So it's something that you really want to watch out for. And it's like a positive twist on this energy. It can be like you guys, you know, start being of service together. Maybe you guys start some sort of, I don't know, foundation, or you guys go help out and you guys do some things where you can be of service to your community in one way, shape, or form. You guys can take that positive twist on it. Or it can be something like, let's go to the gym together. Let's go work out together. Like taking that Virgo energy, because Virgo is taking perfection. So it's just going to be maybe like the way that you pitch the idea or the way that you say things. So it doesn't come off like you're nitpicking your partner necessarily. So that could be something. Let's say you guys were single in the Venus and Leo era. Maybe you guys dated around a lot. Maybe you guys had a lot of fun and amazing experiences. It's like the Leo energy is just, it can be so exciting. It can be so spontaneous. Again, it's that movie energy. So let's say you guys were single during that time and now you've progressed into Venus and Virgo. Well, now when it comes to relationships, it's like you might have this ideal vision that you guys are looking for. Because again, that Venus and Leo does have this like movie, this dream, right, that they do have. And it's like Virgo bounces off of Pisces in that sense. So it's like you guys might be seeking some sort of perfection in this era of your life. You guys might start to notice and pick up on things. You might notice things about people right away that you don't like and you write them off. And it's like, in this era of your life, when you guys are in that Venus and Virgo era, it's really going to be important to understand that relationships are all about compromise. If you are looking for a relationship, that people might not necessarily always be perfect and you'll never find that ideal partner is really what that is. It's about kind of working on things together. So if you guys want to know even more about Venus and Virgo, you guys can definitely check out my Venus and Virgo video where I go even more in depth as to what to do with this energy and what might manifest and how to integrate absolutely everything so you guys can use the energy to your benefit. But these are a few things that can take place when your Venus progresses out of Leo into Virgo. If your Venus has progressed into Libra, so it's come out of Virgo and into Libra, now at this point in your life, you guys are probably going to be looking for the one. So this energy can really go two ways depending on where you were at when you had Venus in Virgo. So let's say you guys were in a relationship. Maybe you guys in your relationship were very picky about your partner. And maybe when you guys were in your relationship, it kind of felt like this person was kind of like slacking in certain areas because that's what tends to happen when you do have Venus in Virgo. So now I've gone into Venus and Libra where it's interesting because it's like Venus and Libra is all about balance. So it's like maybe certain areas in your relationship are now becoming more balanced. Maybe, you know, you verbalized to your person and said, hey, you know, I don't like this. Could you pick up the slack in this area? And maybe now in this new era in your life, the relationship becomes more balanced. So that could be something that does take place. Let's say you were in a relationship. If you were single, maybe now you guys are coming out of that energy where it's like the Venus and Virgo was very nitpicky. It was very much like maybe you guys felt like you couldn't find a partner that was that ideal partner. And now you move into Libra where it's like things might be a little bit more balanced for you in this area. It might be a little bit more lighthearted. You guys might have a different perspective on relationships. Maybe you guys master that Virgo energy and understood that, you know, perfection doesn't really necessarily exist. And now you move into that Libra energy, and Libra's always seeking for the one. They're always seeking for that individual to complete them. Or maybe you guys do eventually get into this loving, balanced relationship because it's like the Venus and Libra placement when it's in its ideal version. It's like you and your partner are like a puzzle piece together where it's like the areas you're lacking, that person picks up on. Or vice versa. And it's like this flow. When you guys were in the Venus and Virgo era of your life, it could have been very like almost like trying to fit a square peg into a hole. Like maybe you guys would date people and like they wouldn't not just necessarily live up to a standard that you guys have. It's just like you guys just wouldn't vibe. And now when you guys progress into Venus and Libra, maybe you guys do find that person that flows, That's kind of the ultimate end goal for Venus and Libra. I mean, Venus and Libra, there's so much more to say. There's a lot of lessons with this placement as well. If you guys are interested in learning even more, you guys can check out my Venus and Libra video. But overall, it's a nice progression because Venus and Virgo, Venus doesn't like to be here. And now it moves into its home, right? Libra, and it's like it likes to be here, it thrives here. So these are a few things that can take place when you do progress out of Venus and Virgo into Venus and Libra. If you progress out of Venus in Libra into Venus in Scorpio, so now you have Venus in Scorpio, this is going to be a little bit more of an intense progression to have because it's like you come out of the Venus and Libra era of your life where everything's fun and maybe even surface level. Maybe relationships came easily to you guys because that's really what Venus and Libra is all about. Keep in mind with these progressions, it's not like you're not going to be a Venus and Libra anymore. You're just now adding the layer of having Venus and Scorpio. So in this era of your life, it kind of depends. Let's say you guys are in a relationship when you guys do go through this progression. Well, in this situation, you guys might be seeking more depth from your partner, or maybe certain shadows might come to the surface. You guys might start triggering each other more because it's like now in the Venus in Scorpio era, it's like Scorpio's pulling you guys to do that shadow work. That's kind of that progression. Whenever you progress out of Libra into Scorpio, it's like now it's time to do the shadow work. Now it's time to balance. Now it's time to balance those energies within. Things aren't all airy, fairy, and fun. It can be a heavy placement, honestly. Venus and Scorpio. There's a lot to say. I mean, if you guys are interested in learning even more, you can always check out my Venus in Scorpio video. But this is kind of the idea of it. Let's say you were single when you had Venus in Libra and now you've progressed into Venus in Scorpio. It's like your view in relationships is going to be different. Very similar to what I previously mentioned. Now you might be looking for more depth in your relationships. Now you might have like a more quote unquote realistic view of relationships in the sense where it's like, oh, things aren't all airy and fairy. Maybe you guys aren't going to be interested in, you know, dating people just for fun or like for a month or having a companion to do this or someone to go travel with or like these types of things, because that's very Venus and Libra. Venus and Libra is very like people pleasing and nice and fun and everything's great in that sense, but it's like, let's get into the depths of things. That's what Venus and Scorpio is now pulling you guys to do. So it's like now when you guys do have this placement of the Venus and Scorpio in terms of your relationships, it's like you're going to be seeking for depth in people. You're going to be wondering what's really going on beneath the surface. And it might be a little bit more challenging today because it's like at this point you're going to be seeing through people. You could be seeing people's true colors almost immediately because it's that intuition. And it's like it makes sense because from the experience of maybe dating several people when you had Venus and Libra, or maybe not even dating, let's say you were with one person that whole time, you were just like a social butterfly, maybe you had a lot of friends, maybe you encountered a lot of different colleagues, and from this you've learned people, you've learned human behavior. Well, now you have Venus and Scorpio where it's like it's really making you analyze. So this is the overall idea when you do progress out of Venus and Libra into Venus and Scorpio. If your Venus has progressed into the sign of Sagittarius, this is probably going to be a breath of fresh air for you guys because you guys have come out of that intensity of Venus and Scorpio. This placement honestly is not for the faint of heart, you guys. When you have Venus and Scorpio, you guys probably had intense relationships. You guys probably took your relationship so seriously. It was so cathartic for you. You guys changed. Maybe it was hard for you guys to get over people. Maybe it was hard for you guys to find someone to date and you found someone you liked and it's like you like this person and you know, it's just intense. The Venus and Scorpio person is always going to be intense. And now, even though you guys do have your progression, it doesn't mean that you're leaving this part of you behind. It's just how we grow and how we evolve. So you guys are evolving out of this now. Maybe you guys don't view relationships this intensely anymore. You guys don't view relationships anymore where it's like, I have to do everything together, otherwise this person doesn't love me. Like these types of things. Maybe those were some of the intensities that you guys faced when you had Venus and Scorpio. So it kind of depends to see what's going on. Maybe you guys were in a relationship when you have Venus and Scorpio progressing into Venus and Sag. And it's like maybe now a lot of these shadows have been integrated within you through your relationship. Maybe the relationship made you do hard work on yourself. And it's like maybe now you guys are in the Venus and Sag where it's like, let's just have fun and go travel together and do all these fun things together. That could be something that does take place when you go through that progression. Let's say you were dating someone, or if you were single, your perception on relationships is really, really going to change. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to be looking for that mind, body, spirit connection anymore, because at the end of the day, Scorpio is a Scorpio. Like they're still looking for this. It's going to be a different perception that you guys have on love. Maybe you guys go through an extended period of time where you just take a break from everything. Let's say you guys maybe broke up with someone toward the end of that Venus and Scorpio era, and now you've entered Venus and Sag, and it's like Venus and Sag is the bachelor or the bachelorette of the zodiac. So you guys can really go through this huge shift where it's like, now I just want to travel and I want to have fun. I want to just date just to have a companion, or you know, someone who's really interesting. Like if you guys want to learn even more about Venus and Sag, you can definitely check out my video because I go even more in depth in terms of what Venus and Sag really means. But that's kind of like the shift here. Is a huge shift for this individual in terms of relationships, because it's like it's almost like you're tired at this point, you know. It's like you've invested a lot of your energy, because scorpionic placements take everything seriously. So it's like in this area of your life, in the love and the relationships area of your life, it's almost like you've given it your all, and it's like you've transmuted a lot of that low vibrational energy where it's like maybe a relationship doesn't have to be that intense. Maybe a relationship doesn't have to be, you know, you together 24/7, these types of things. Now maybe you look at relationships a little bit differently when you do go through this progression. Venus in Sag into Venus in Capricorn. So for those of you who do have your Venus now progressed into Capricorn, this is another interesting placement. I mean, I feel like I've been saying that for all of the placements, but it is interesting because it's like Venus and Sag wants to be free. They want to have fun. They're sometimes a little bit reckless. They might want to party all the time. They might not be interested in commitment. They are known to be the bachelors or the bachelorettes of the zodiac. Now, it doesn't mean that these people can't be in a relationship. Maybe you guys found someone who understands you and your need for freedom. So let's look at the two different scenarios that could happen when you do go through this progression. Let's say you guys were in a relationship now with this individual. Maybe you guys had fun and you were traveling, and maybe in the beginning it was kind of like something that started out as fun and you guys actually ended up committing to each other. They allowed you to have your freedom and your space, and it's like now you're progressing into Venus in Capricorn, where it's like now maybe you're looking to build something with this person. Maybe you guys are looking to elevate the status together with this individual. When you do go through this progression, it's like maybe now you're not interested as much in things like traveling and moving around, and maybe now you guys want to be in one place and you want to become grounded and you want to lay your roots with this individual and work towards something together. That's really that Venus and Capricorn energy. It can also be a progression where it's like maybe before you weren't interested in marriage at all, because again, that bachelor or bachelorette energy, and it's like now in the Venus and Capricorn era of your life, maybe this is something that you are looking for now. Maybe you guys are interested in a marriage, maybe with this individual. Let's say you guys are in a relationship. Let's say you guys were single when you guys were in the Venus and Sagittarius era, and now you've moved into Venus in Capricorn. Well, in this particular era of your life, again, you guys could be interested now in marriage, maybe looking for someone to elevate your status. You guys are going to take that Venusian energy, which is like the indulgences in life, the pleasures in life, sometimes your creative energy, and even sometimes how you make money. And it's like, it's coming out of that like fun and fiery and movement type of energy, and now it's more grounded with the Capricorn energy. You might be building towards something, and you might be looking for someone to build with you when you're in this era of your life. Your perception on relationships is going to be very different, let's say, compared to before. Maybe when you were in the Venus and Sag era in your life, it was more like, who can come have fun with me? Who can come travel with me? Maybe you had different lovers in different cities or countries or whatever it is. Now it's like you're in Venus and Capricorn, and it's a different perception. It's like, no, I want someone to build with. I want someone who's going to be stable, who's going to be mature, who's going to be going after their goals, who knows what they want in life. Like, you really go through a huge transition when you go out of Venus and Sag into Venus and Capricorn. If you're interested in learning even more about Venus and Capricorn, you guys can check out my video on Venus and Capricorn. But this is the overall idea when you do progress out of Venus and Sag into Venus and Capricorn. If you progressed out of Venus and Capricorn into Venus and Aquarius, this is going to be a very interesting placement, because it's like you're coming out of this building type of energy and you're going into a more open type of energy is really what that is. That's really what Venus and Aquarius is all about. They're all about a futuristic type of love. It's going to be all about the unconventional ways of being. So for example, let's say you guys had Venus in Capricorn, maybe you guys were super traditional in terms of your views, and now you progress into Venus and Aquarius, and now you have a more open mind. Now you view things differently. The thing is with the Venus and Capricorn, it's like they're seeking for stability through relationships. That's the whole thing with the Venus and Capricorn energy, where it's like Venus and Aquarius comes through when you guys progress, and it's now teaching you that there's a different way to love, that there's a higher dimension of love, that it's like we can view relationships differently, that it might not be so much about the physical plane in terms of Venus and Capricorn, because Venus and Capricorn is all about efficiency. So they're going to want their partner to be on the same level as them, or they might even be in a business with their partner. Let's say you have Venus and Capricorn. So it's like, it's kind of taking it to that next level. So let's say you guys were in a relationship when you guys had Venus and Capricorn, and now you've progressed into Venus and Aquarius. How will this relationship change? Well, you might view things differently now. Maybe you guys were very strict and rigid before. Maybe you guys very much stuck to your traditions. And it's like maybe in this relationship, you've built some form of stability. And it's like now you express things differently. Maybe now it's like you and your partner are now seeking to elevate your love into a next level. Maybe you're now seeing things from a different perspective, because Aquarius is very much futuristic. They're very much ahead of their time, especially when it comes to relationships. So they're going to view relationships very, very differently. It's going to be very open energetically. It's going to be very detached. It's going to be very much allowing the other person to have their space, because the Venus and Aquarius person is going to want theirs. So let's say you're single when this does take place, you're going to go through the shift, because it's like when you were in the Venus and Capricorn era, again, it's very much work, 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 because Venus can also be all about how we indulge in life, our pleasures in life. It can be sometimes how we make money and our creativity and all these sorts of things. So when you had Venus and Capricorn, maybe you were super focused on things like your career and these types of things. And it's like now you're Venus and Aquarius, and it's like you might see the bigger picture of things. It's like maybe you've reached a certain level of stability that you were seeking, and it's like now you view love differently. Maybe for you before, love was stability, and now you view love as this multi-dimensional experience. And it's also going to be very mental in terms of your mind, right? It's going to be very much you need an intellectual connection with people when you are, let's say, dating in your Venus and Aquarius era, someone who understands you and someone who gives you space. So it's very interesting to see. It's almost kind of like a spiritual awakening type of energy, I guess. You come out of like that super earthly plane and you've mastered that area of your life, and now you're going into Venus and Aquarius and you're looking at things from a different perspective. If you're interested in learning even more about Venus and Aquarius, I do have my Venus and Aquarius video, so you guys can check that out and see how it resonates. But overall, this is just the idea of how you guys might change when you progress out of Venus and Capricorn into Venus and Aquarius. If you progress out of Venus and Aquarius into Venus and Pisces, this is going to be a very interesting progression, because it's like Aquarius already does deal with the higher mind. It does deal with that mental and intellectual connection. And now you're going to go into that Venus and Pisces energy. When Venus is in Pisces, it's exalted here. It likes to be here. So it's like maybe when you guys were in that Venus and Aquarius era, it's like you guys maybe didn't feel understood, let's say when it came to relationships. Let's say you guys were dating someone when you were in the Venus and Aquarius era. It's like it could have been a very detached type of energy where it's like, I'm going to do my thing, you can do your thing, but we're still in a relationship. This type of energy. It could be an energy where it's like maybe you guys didn't do everything 24/7. Maybe this person lived away somewhere or abroad somewhere, and it's like that level of unconditional love, and now it's like taking it into an even higher level of that. A huge struggle though when you do have Venus in Pisces is like sometimes you might romanticize this area. I mean, this might more so happen for people who are single. So let's say you are single, when you do go through this progression out of Venus and Aquarius into Venus and Pisces, now what might happen is like you guys might be romanticizing this era. You're like, oh, I want to find that person, that one that's just for me, and I want it to be like this, and I want them to do a flash mob to propose to me, or whatever it is. Like something grand, something extravagant is really that energy. And it's like you guys can focus on that so much and it can happen. But the thing is, a lot of the time when we do ground the energy into the earth plane, it might not necessarily be the way that we had envisioned. So there's always an energy of romanticizing when it does come to Venus in Pisces. And it's interesting because it's like coming out of that Venus in Aquarius, which was very much intellectual and mental connection with people. Now you guys might be seeking more of an emotional connection with this person. Now in relationships, you might have to work on your emotional world. This could be something that has come up. All of the water signs to eventually have to work on some sort of codependencies and healing and integrating that energy within them, because it's like that Piscean energy, it's the fish. Sometimes they can merge with the other individual, like they can really take it to this level. And it's interesting because you're coming out of that Venus and Aquarius era where maybe you guys were detached and you guys had a different view on love, and now it changes. So that's kind of what happens when you do go through this progression. If you guys want to learn even more on Venus and Pisces, you can check out my video where I do talk more about Venus and Pisces, but this is overall the idea of how you guys might change in terms of your relationships and how you guys might change in terms of how you guys view love when you guys go out of Venus and Aquarius into Venus and Pisces. If your Venus in Pisces has progressed into Venus in Aries, this is going to be a very interesting progression. I mean, I feel like I've been saying that for all of the progressions, but this is also very interesting because what might happen here is in the Venus and Pisces era, yes, Venus is exalted here, but it's like we live on an earth plane, so there's duality. So a lot of things could have been taking place if you guys gave so much of yourselves into relationships. Maybe you guys got so enmeshed into other people that you guys forgot about your own dreams and your desires. Maybe you guys are playing out this movie with this individual and it's like other things got placed on the back burner for you. Maybe you had dreams and goals and these types of things, and it's like now you progress into Venus and Aries, and Venus and Aries is now pushing you guys forward with that momentum. It's actually a very good progression because it's like you take those dreams and visions that the Venus and Pisces individual has and it goes into the Aries energy, and now you're applying it, now you're actually going after it. And it's interesting also because it's like when you're in the Venus and Pisces era, it's like maybe your huge focus was relationships, and now it's a huge focus on the self, and you might just view relationships differently, where it's like when you were in the Venus and Pisces era, it was everything, it was your whole world, it was so important, because it's like the era you romanticize. When you have Venus and Pisces, you romanticize relationships. But now you have Venus and Aries, it's like it just shifts. You guys might be a little bit more selfish when it comes to relationships. You might have better boundaries when it comes to relationships. Your individuality is going to be very important for you, who you guys are as a person, doing your own thing, having your own space. It's a really interesting transition to see, because it's like it goes from this Piscean fish and all of these dreams and things, and now it's in the Aries energy where it's like it's more honed, it's more about you. You might be focusing more on self-love, and it's like, again, it's a different perspective. It really is. It might be more playful energetically for you when you're in these relationships. And also another thing, there's going to be a huge theme of conflict and conflict resolution. Maybe you guys avoided that. You had the Venus and Pisces because you wanted everything to be high vibe and this dream and everything's perfect all the time and it's a movie, and it's like now the Venus in Aries is pulling you guys to work on conflict and communication and conflict resolution, all these types of things. I mean, it really does depend as to what your status, your relationship status was prior to the progression. Let's say you guys were in Venus and Pisces and you guys had a relationship during that time. You've progressed now, well, it's like the relationship is also going to change. Maybe you're not going to focus on your partner as much. Maybe you're going to master that codependent energy, that enmeshment with your partner. And it's like maybe now you have more of an individuality going on in your relationship. Maybe now you have better boundaries. Maybe now you have resolved that emotional world where it's like it was all about the partner. And it's like now there's a little bit of space. Maybe your relationship is now a little bit more established and you're now moving into Venus and Aries. So now you are focusing on those goals. You're actually putting them into action. So that could be something that does take place if you're in a relationship. If you're single, all of the previous things are probably going to resonate with you that I was saying. It's like your perception on relationships is going to change. The types of people you guys pick are going to change. Sometimes when you're in that Venus and Pisces era, you pick people who are draining because it's that healer's axis. That's the thing with the Piscean energy and the Virgo energy. You might pick people who are draining. You might put this dream on them and they don't deserve it. And it's like now you're in the Venus and Aries energy and it's like you're really making sure that this doesn't happen and you're really focusing more so on yourself and on the self-love so you can be more so an individual again when it comes to relationships. So these are a few things that could take place when you go through this progression. If you guys want to learn even more about your Venus and Aries, you guys can check out my Venus and Aries video. But overall, this is the idea when you guys do go through this progression. I do hope you guys enjoyed my video on the progressed Venus placements and how you guys might change in your relationships and your perception on relationships. If you guys did, please do like, share, and subscribe. And I hope you all have a beautiful rest of the day.